everything Raptors, everything. I love him.
And for all the Canadian fans rooting for you at home, what would you like to tell them?
Oh man, I'm back home, baby. I'm back home. Keep supporting the Raptors. Come on.
Thanks.
Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to Raptors Flex Plus. I am your host, Kyle. Gia, and Happy New Year to everybody out there. I hope everybody had a safe and blessed New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, however you chose to spend it, whether with friends, family, solo. I don't know. Did anybody go to the game? Maybe, you know. But at the end of the day, again, I just want to thank everybody for supporting the channel through 2023. 2024, I have some big visions for the channel, and I just want to keep growing it to be as big as it can be, man. So I appreciate everyone that's out there that's supporting it. We are 47 subscribers in, 3 subscribers away from giving away one of these bad boys, the Raptors Flex Plus Took, the original joint. So yeah, man, I appreciate everybody for all the love and the support. I did what I had to do. Okay, I washed off all that stink from the Pistons game, yo. Wash it all off, guy. I'm just bathing in positivity right now, yo. Bathing in positivity. So let's keep that in 2023 and in 2024. I'm not even just saying this. I feel so much more optimistic about this Raptors team since making the trade, man. Since making the trade. If anybody went back and saw like the initial reactions video, like, I don't know, like, I had a few things to say, but I'm the type of person, I need to like marinate my thoughts a little bit, you know? Really think about it and like live with that for a while, yo. Do a little research, all those types of things, where I can then provide the type of analysis that I would like to provide, man. You know what I'm saying? But the whole intent of it was just, yo, what are the initial thoughts? And my initial thoughts were I was in shock that it even happened in the first place, because historically we don't really see these types of trades go down in December. Now, a few days prior to that, I was saying, I'm like, you want to know what? Don't be surprised if we see a change in January, like a trade in January. Now, Masai and Bobby, they obviously beat me to that. Well, they'll always beat me to that. But in terms of my prediction, yeah, doing this in December still, making this trade for RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickly and getting a really early second round pick, which a lot of people are saying it's kind of like a first round pick because it's like the Pistons that own that pick. Good job by the front office obtaining these guys. And then in terms of what you're giving away there in the trade, obviously we all love OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby was a player that we had drafted, in this team in 2017, 23rd overall. And we had high hopes for OG Anunoby. And we've watched him develop. You know what I'm saying? Especially develop that three-point shot. He was always a really good defender, but he even developed that part of his game a little more. And he became a really important part for our team. Even though he didn't necessarily play in the 2019 playoff year where we actually won the championship, he was still part of the team. He was still here for that. So even though it's kind of bittersweet to see him go, and we got to say goodbye to OG Anunoby, let's give a little bit of a round of applause for OG Anunoby for everything that he did for this franchise. Appreciate it, man. He did. He was a solid player for us. Solid player. But it is a new era in the six. A new era. Immanuel Quickly. Canadian. RJ Barrett. Welcome to the team. Two really solid players that we obtained, and things just look different now. Having some depth, even just on the bench, it looks different. It looks different. You know, these two guys, they made a difference last night. Like immediately made a difference. You know what I'm saying? And even prior to the game, you're listening to these two young men talk. And I've never really listened to Immanuel Quickly talk before, like in interviews and that type of stuff. He's clearly a man of faith. He believes in God. That's the first thing he always says first, yo, like, thank God for the opportunity, all these types of stuff. This is a guy that has a good head on his shoulders, man. A really good head on his shoulders. So even just listening to him speak before reviewing the tape and all that type of stuff, we're like, yo, this is a high character individual that Masai and Bobby were able to bring over into the Toronto Raptors locker room. A guy that is embracing the opportunity of being here in Toronto and being traded alongside his brethren, RJ Barrett, Canadian. And the smile upon RJ Barrett's face when they asked this guy how he felt about the trade, how he's just like, yo, I just woke up and everything, but then like, smile. Two guys that are happy to be here in Toronto, just over the moon to be here in Toronto. These are the types of guys that you want to get. And they're no punk guys either. These guys are players. They are players. Well, first and foremost, man, like last week when Jamal Murray came through, we gave him a round of applause, and you know, we had a little couple words for his dad, Roger Murray. Rowan Barrett, man. Rowan Barrett. I remember watching this guy when I was a kid. This is RJ's dad for all you young folks out here that, you know, like, who's Rowan Barrett? Listen, played his butt off for the national team. And when I was young, I never really understood, like, a lot of stuff, like, basketball-wise. Like, yo, these guys are good. Why are they not in the NBA? Like the Rowan Barretts and the Sherman Hamiltons, watching these guys play for Team Canada. These guys were top-notch players, national players for Canada, man. For Canada, like years ago. You know, and they were professionals. They played overseas. But these guys know basketball. I know a lot of us know who Sherman Hamilton is because he's on the broadcast every day. He's on NBA TV every day. So we know this, Sherman Hamilton, we know that he knows ball. Rowan Barrett, though, this maybe might be a name that y'all aren't too familiar with. You know, I think he's like the director of Team Canada right now, national team that just won bronze in the FIBA World Championship. Rowan Barrett knows his stuff. And when you look at what he was able to produce in RJ, Rowan Jr., just a solid individual, a solid, like, man. You know what I'm saying? Young man. This is a high character guy, and he knows ball. He plays ball with high IQ, and he has, let me show that, ice water in his veins. RJ Barrett is not afraid of the moment, and his dad prepared him for all of this to be able to put on that Raptors red and play for the Raptors at home in front of a sellout crowd at Scotiabank Arena. So shout out to Rowan Barrett, man. All he does is make us proud. Rowan Barrett, man, RJ's dad. All he's ever done from a basketball perspective is make us proud. And it just makes me proud that, you know, we have a Canadian that is here that just lights up the room with his smile every time they talk about him playing at home. Or they ask him a question about him playing at home, you know? And he also said, like, after the game or whatever, he's like, this is like, you know, this is better than any time I've ever played here in Toronto. Like this night against the Cavs where he was able to put on that Raptors red, man. And a lot of people are talking about Immanuel Quickly. Like the way that the trade kind of went down, first everyone was like, yo, we got RJ Barrett, because that's the bigger name. You know what I'm saying? He was number 3 overall pick a few years back in that same draft that had Zion and Ja Morant And RJ Barrett, the third overall, went to the Knicks, and he was never afraid of the spotlight there. This man has been trained to like be a professional basketball player. From the way that he conducts himself on the court, off the court, and in interviews, well-spoken guy, just a respectful kid. Yo, man, built for the moment, yo. Built for the moment. And a lot of people were talking about Immanuel Quickly, but I just want to talk about RJ Barrett here for a second, yo. Because I guess I didn't finish that thought. The way that it happened, when the trade went down, everyone was talking about RJ because he was the homegrown guy. And then the conversation went to Immanuel Quickly because, yo, this guy now getting an opportunity to start, and the type of potential that he is, that he has, a lot of people are saying that this is like a Tyrese Maxey type player, right? But we'll get to Immanuel Quickly in a moment. I just want to talk about RJ for a second, because I don't feel like enough people are talking about RJ, okay? 23 years old, RJ Barrett, first and foremost, okay? Still has lots of time to develop his game. But even where his game is at right now, today, there's some real benefits that we are seeing on this team from this game last night against the Cavs. Now, I know it's a one-game sample size, but I've watched RJ play before, so I'm comfortable in saying these things, right? This isn't a player that I had to go look back on YouTube and check his highlights. I watch RJ play, all right? RJ Barrett is the type of guy that when he's going downhill and he puts some body into you, mans will bounce back and he can finish at the rim, right? And he's not afraid to look for his offense. Now, I know they're talking like similar stuff on the broadcast, but it's true. He is not afraid to initiate his own offense when he wants to go and get some buckets, right? So he's fearless. He's fearless. I remember when he played, it was right before he went to college, I think. And it was a Canada versus USA game. I think it was an under 19 or something. And this guy scored like 30-something points to go and capture the gold over the USA. And there were like other like high draft picks, potential draft picks or lottery picks on that USA team, where RJ Barrett put the team on his back and went and got that gold medal for us. So this is a guy that when he decides he wants to score, he has all the talent in the world to be able to do that. And it was on display yesterday where he's getting buckets inside. Mans are bouncing off of him. He's finishing. Also plays where when he gets that ball under the rim, he has strength in order to make some space for himself and finish underneath. He can also shoot the three. We've seen a couple threes. I think maybe just one of them above the break yesterday or maybe on the wing. Drilled it. When he gets in the corner, he can hit that 3-2 as well. Now, one of the critiques I have with RJ, where I'd like to see a little bit more with his development, is using his right hand a little bit more. And the funny thing about it is that Stephen A. Smith has been saying that for years, right? Because obviously he's like this big Knicks fan, right? It's like Spike Lee and Stephen A. Smith. Like those are the guys, you know what I'm saying? That rep that Knicks squad outside the celebrity circles, right? Obviously there's many more, but you hear Stephen A. Smith every day on TV. RJ needs to work on finishing with his right hand, but I'm okay with it. 23 years old. He will figure out that part of his game. And then the next thing I want to see from RJ is that he's able to get into the lane and get to his spots. But what this also now does for the Toronto offense is it may require help defenders to go and sag in and have to defend RJ in the lane. And the way that Scotty Barnes has been shooting that three from the corner and from the wing, Scotty Barnes now, all of a sudden, Scotty Barnes is a three-point shooter. All of a sudden. But I will take that, right? I'm seeing a big enough sample size from Scotty Barnes right now, where the other night he went 7 for 15. He took 15 threes. It's like, okay, that's still a little bit too much. But I am okay with Scotty Barnes shooting a three now. Right? And when he got drafted, I was a little bit worried about his form and all these types of things. I'm like, well, he's not really a three-point shooter. And yeah, he wasn't. But obviously, he's worked on that part of his game. And if RJ is able to like figure out how to facilitate once that he gets into the paint and the defense collapses and he's able to get that ball in the shooting pocket so these guys can go up and hit that three, you put Scotty out there, you put Gary Trent Jr. out there, you put Immanuel Quickly out there. Those guys can hit the threes. Those guys can hit the threes, no problemo. Now, I don't know if Pascal Siakam is going to be able to get back on track with shooting his threes, but last night he had himself a game shooting threes. We've seen a couple of games this season where he's shot the three very well, but then we've also seen a couple times this season where his three has just been off for the majority. But now that you have like another legitimate scorer on this team, and we didn't even get to IQ yet, but now that we have another legitimate scorer on this team and RJ Barrett, this should now open up a little bit more for Pascal Siakam, where the defense doesn't have to focus on him so much. So this might just be a revelation of a trade, all the things that RJ brings to the table. And now, he's not an OG Anunoby type defender, but he's adequate. He is adequate defensively. And he's smart, yo. RJ's a smart guy. So I am just like truly intrigued and optimistic about 2024 with this team. I am optimistic about this team. I didn't even talk about IQ yet. We'll get there. But like Raptors fans, we might need to take a step back for a second, right? Because immediately after the OG Anunoby trade for RJ and IQ, and it just rolls off the tongue. RJ, IQ, it's fantastic, man. It just sounds good. It feels good. Oh, man, 2024, man. 2024, we are here. And the Raptors looking like they might be able to do us some damage with this new squad that we got, this new cast of characters. Okay? So we may need to take a step back for a second, because immediately after that trade happened, we're like, oh, well, the Raptors are exploring other trades for Pascal Siakam. Okay? Exploring other trades, and now we're coming up with all these trade partners and everything. Listen, this channel, let's get one thing straight about this channel. Okay? I am not here to just like give you the breaking news at the drop of a dime. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to give you all the reports and the rumors. Like, yeah, I'll come in here with some rumors and reports and stuff like that, right? But for me, this is a fan channel. This is for the fans. We're just giving our perspective on things that we hear. It may be right, it may be wrong. We're just giving our perspective on things that we hear and things that we see. So when I open up the panel for my brethren and them to come on, we're just talking ball regular. You know what I'm saying? We're talking ball regular. So I'm probably not going to do the breaking news stuff like I was trying to do the OG Anunoby trade. I jumped out so quick and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I digress. The point I'm trying to make here is that even after all these rumors just start dropping immediately, I think Raptors fans, we should just take a step back for a second, right? Because even in that video, I said this would kind of be like, not like a dress rehearsal for Pascal, but this is more of like probably like for Darko. Can you fit all of these pieces together more cohesively than what you were able to do when Precious, Malachi, and OG was here? Because we know it just wasn't working, right? Like, we didn't need to wait until February trade deadline. And I big up Messiah and Bobby for that, yo. Messiah and Bobby for that, because I didn't give them the highest grade. I think I gave them a C- or something, and I think Kanai went and gave them like a D+ or something, right? But then eventually, after that trade was made, Kanai immediately just bumped up their grade, and I think he was right for doing that. Just right for doing that, because they didn't wait till the February trade deadline until we're just totally out of it in order to make a trade. We got really good value out of this trade for OG Anunoby. And that was one of the things I've been saying now for a couple of weeks. I'm like, yo, episode 28, I talked about like hypothetical question. Should we trade OG Anunoby? And the reason why I labeled it hypothetical question, like that was the episode, was because, yo, like, I don't think Raptors fans are trying to hear that, yo. I think they wanted to hear at the time, like everybody I talked to was like, yeah, trade Pascal. That was like the conversation immediately. But I always thought that we could get really good value for OG Anunoby. And there you go. There's the fruits, man. There's the fruits. Anyways, I keep digressing. The point I want to make is we should not be so quick to go trade Pascal Siakam. We should not be so quick to go trade Pascal Siakam. Right? Like, I think that this team, based on like what I see from them, there's really only a couple glaring weaknesses. And I see Pascal as being a type of player that can flourish right now with this squad, and it's going to make everybody better. This trade literally makes everybody better on the team. Even Dennis Schroeder. I like the new role for Dennis Schroeder coming off the bench. I like the new role for him coming off the bench. Right? Organize the bench unit. But not even just that. You see how we're able to play that 3-guard lineup now with Gary, Dennis, and IQ? Yo, that's something that we have not been able to see from this Raptors team since Fred and Kyle Lowry were here with Gary Trent Jr., yo. Or maybe was Gary Trent here with them? Or maybe Norman Powell. Either way, right? We haven't really been able to see that 3-guard lineup, especially since like the way that roster construction was there for the past couple of seasons, where it was that 6'9" and over type of stuff. We didn't even have enough guards to try to do that, yo. So I like the prospects of being able to be a little bit more interchangeable with your guards, and you can play them all together if you need to, because you also have a guy like Scotty. If you want to play those 3 guards together and have Scotty on the bench, then bring Scotty back or Pascal or whoever. All of these guys can handle the ball. All of them can handle the ball. You know what I'm saying? So like the prospects of this lineup, I like this. I like this role for Dennis Schroeder, man, and I hope he truly embraces it. I feel like he got a lot of slack because, we just lost Fred. You know, we just lost Fred. That was like our last steady piece at point guard. And then you're asking a historically backup point guard to come in and play point guard for this team, right? And I gave him a B in the grades episode because I thought he played pretty well in terms of what Darko was asking of him. I thought his shot selection was a little bit erratic, but in terms of what the coaching staff was asking of him, I thought Dennis played pretty well. The problem is that I didn't like what the coaching staff was asking about him, right? And that's why I give Darko. Anyways, let's keep it positive for the star 224, man. Let's keep it positive so far, right? So yeah, man, I feel like this trade makes everybody better. I wouldn't be so quick to go trade Pascal right away. I think a couple glaring deficiencies that I would like to see. I think one of them is already here on the bench, or 2 of them. Both these guys might be able to fit the role, but we might need to go out and do something. So check it. First role, backup big. For the love of God, backup big. You need to have a backup big. Now, Christian Koloko, okay? He is going through his health situation. So we're not going to talk ill on Christian Koloko, right? We wish the best for him. We hope that he makes a return to the lineup safe and healthy whenever that is, okay? We're not rushing back Christian Koloko because this is a real life thing that he's dealing with, obviously, okay? So no ill against him, okay? No ill will against him. Now, from a basketball perspective, though, right? We don't have any real backup bigs off the bench. Now, you could say Chris Boucher, but what do we see the last 2 games? Thaddeus Young was your first big coming off the bench against the Cavs and against the Pistons. That worries me. Against the Pistons, like that's out of necessity. We're undermanned that night. We had to have it, and it is what it is, right? I thought that things might be a little bit different in this Cavs game, but Thaddeus Young was still the first big off the bench. And I'm really not sure what Darko has against Chris Boucher, right? Like, I don't know. My expectations for Chris Boucher is that he can be a spark off the bench, right? I don't expect him to, like, guard Joel Embiid and these guys. It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just, his body is just not, like, built for that, yo. And that's no disrespect to him. That's just his body type, and that's just what it's going to be for him. It would be, like, really lovely if we're able to find a big somehow that can just come out and spell Pirtle or situational matchups when you just have to have bigs in there. You know what I'm saying? You have to have bigs. Now, we saw Tristan Thompson last night in Cleveland. I wouldn't mind to have a Tristan Thompson on this team. I'm not saying that we need a big, and I've been consistent in saying this. I'm not saying that we need a big to go play 25 minutes for us. I'm saying, 10 to 12 minutes, come in and play, bang around, get some fouls, get some rebounds, and then come out the game, set some screens, then come out the game. Get some offensive rebounds, a couple putbacks, and muck it up, right? So we're missing that. I don't think we have a player like that since Precious Achiuwa left. And to be honest with you, I also felt like Precious was playing out of position. That's kind of like what we were asking of him. But for the fact that we didn't bring any bigs back, it worries me that we are so thin on the front line. Now, they have this Jonte Porter kid that they signed, and he was playing in the G League. I seen him with the squad yesterday on the bench. I also saw Marquise Noel on the bench yesterday, too. Shout out to Marquise Noel. I would love to see him at some point. But the way that things are shaking out, now that we got IQ, Dennis in the backcourt, right? I'm not sure when he's going to get his burn, right? I'd like to see him with the Raptors, but that might not be in the cards for him right now. But anyways, Jonte Porter, he's your other big. He's your other center on the bench, okay? And I don't think that's a player that you could really count on to do a lot of that. You'd rather have like a veteran type of guy or a player with higher upside. You know what I mean? A younger player with higher upside that's coming off the bench to be your backup big. But as of right now, we may see him on this upcoming 6-game road trip just out of necessity. Just out of necessity. But that is a glaring hole that I see for this Raptors team. And I kind of like the construction now, being able to go like 7, 8 deep on the bench. So I'm like, who do you trade in order to bring in another big? Is it Gary Trent Jr.? Right now, I'd like to see what he has, right now, I'd like to see what he has. We may end up moving on from him at the end of the season or at trade deadline because, we know his contract situation and all that type of stuff. But truthfully, I don't know, who else do you trade? You know what I'm saying? Get somebody significant. I don't know. Maybe you do trade Gary Trent Jr. and then you go and find a guy like Merrill, for example, on Cleveland. One of these other specialist guys that I talk about from time to time. Man, I wish we had a specialist. You see what Merrill did to us last night, by the way, against Cleveland? Sam Merrill played 16 minutes, went 6 for 11 from the floor, 4 for 8 from 3, and had 16 points. Okay? Now, that's obviously not something that you're going to get from him night in, night out. But being a specialist, your job's going to be to come in there and hit some shots, right? So maybe you're able to get a guy like that and a Tristan Thompson for Gary Trent Jr. Now, that may not be, I'm just kind of throwing that out there. I didn't look and see what the money is. I'm just throwing that out there right now. I didn't even think about it. I'm just kind of thinking about the game last night, and I'm thinking about how we need to fill a role. And I'm like, those two styles of players would probably be perfect for this squad, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I'm not sure how we're going to get another big in here, immediately, right? Because if we're waiting to trade Gary until the February trade deadline, that might be too long to go without another big, right? And I'm also saying we should wait on the Pascal trade. So whether that happens or not, right? I don't think that's something that the Raptors should just go and do right now in January. I'd like to see what this squad looks like, plus another big somehow, right? Now, for the other glaring hole I see on this team, is simply that I think Grady Dick needs to find his way on this second half of the season in 2024, yo. Let's put some good juju in the air, yo, for friggin' Grady Dick, yo. Come on, Grady. Let's go, baby. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's going to work, man. But the plan right now, in terms of what I'm hearing from Darko, is that they're going to, they got him going through a weight training regimen right now, right? So he was with the squad up until today, which is Tuesday. He was with the squad up until today. He was doing his weight training regimen. They want to get him stronger. I'm not even sure what else that entails, but he's going through some sort of weight training regimen, and they got him doing drills and these types of things in order to just get more polished with his game. And then they want to send him down to the 905, which I believe he just got sent down there today, and he'll be playing for the 905 tomorrow, right? So they wanted to take these things they've been working on the past few weeks and then go implement it down in the Raptor 905 where you're going to get some time. All right. But if Grady Dick is able to find his 3-point stroke, I feel so much better about this squad, because what that does now, it gives you another rotational piece that you can now add into the game when maybe guys are getting in foul trouble, or you need a 3 because I literally just start talking about the specialists, like those types of things. And it's another wing body. It's another wing body, because I'm not worried about ball handling at all on this team now. At all. We've seen RJ get a rebound and just go straight down the court with it. And that was one of the things I was saying about this Raptors team, right? Even before the trade, like, there's a lot of guys on this team where if they get the rebound, I just want them to go. Forget looking for the outlet. You know what I'm saying? And what I saw last night, I saw a lot of that situationally, where like RJ would get a rebound and go. Immanuel Quickly get a rebound and go. You know what I'm saying? Scotty Barnes, we know about that. That's what he be doing. And when he does do it, it's chef's kiss. I love when he excuse my language. I love when he's getting out there and doing his thing. You know what I mean? Off the rebound, just going. Pascal Siakam could do it. Yo, we have a lot of guys. I'm not worried about that. But you put Grady in the game now. Personally, for me, I'm not expecting him to be a ball handler. I'm not saying he can't handle the ball, but if you get the rebound, like, I wouldn't be mad if you looked for the outlet, personally, right? Either where you are with your game right now. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, he's going on to 905 to work on these things that he's been working on the past few weeks, as well as some weight training, regimented stuff that he's working on. So hopefully this second half of the season can be just a positive for Grady. And if it's a positive for him, it's a positive for the team. Straight up and down. It's a positive for the team if it's a positive for him. It all full circle with him, yo. So that gives us another rotational piece if we're able to get that in check. But the big situation, I'm a little bit worried about still, right? Even more so when Precious was on the team. All right. So, Immanuel Quickly, y'all, because all of this, I didn't even talk about IQ yet. Okay? Now, I got to give Darko some credit. Okay? I got to give Darko some credit. Because me and Kanai were talking about this offline on like New Year's Eve or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And he said that he expected Immanuel Quickly to start right away, right? And I was like, you want to know what? You're probably right, yo. But the way that this coaching staff is, I just didn't have the belief that Darko would just come out and start these guys right away. I kind of expected RJ to start right away, but I thought maybe they might not do that with Quickly. But we understand what it is immediately off the top. Doesn't matter if Darko said don't look into it too much last night with the starting lineup. I'm looking into it. I am looking into it. Maybe the rotations might need to figure themselves out a little bit more. Like, that's a lot to ask for in one game, especially when you make a trade of that magnitude, like this far into the season. Like, I'm not going to get on Darko about rotations and those types of things, right? But I didn't think he had it in him to start Immanuel Quickly right away. And he did it. So we know what the team is saying, what Masai and Bobby are saying, and that the team is on the same page, right? I'm looking into it, even though they told me not to. They're telling me that this is the point guard of the future. And there ain't no better time than now to get him immersed with the starting lineup. And that was a great move by the coaching staff, putting IQ into the starting lineup in the very first game since the trade. I appreciate that type of move, man, because I didn't think they had it in him. I didn't think he had it in him. So I give respect where respect needs to be given for that very point. Okay? Now, they keep saying that this guy is like a Tyrese Maxey type player. I see it. Just in the movements, right? I see it. They played together at Kentucky. They were backcourt mates and all that type of stuff. Immanuel Quickly has just been like a fire starter off the bench for as long as he's been in New York. right? But we haven't seen the full complement of his game yet because he's had to play behind other point guards such as Jalen Brunson, right? Like, but the potential of this guy, just based on what I see that he can do, is number one, he can find his own shot, right? And that was one of the things that we've had a problem with on this team for a couple of seasons, to be honest with you. Guys that can just find their own shot from like multiple areas on the floor. I'm not talking about just finding yourself a three off of a screen. I'm talking about man up, ISO, finding matchups, finding a matchup that you like, and then taking a player off the dribble. And whether you got to do the pull up game, floater game, which I'm seeing Immanuel Quickly loves himself some floater game, right? Because we saw it from the baseline, you see it from the wing, you see it from different areas in the court, in the middle of the key, you see it all. A couple of them didn't drop yesterday, but the man is comfortable taking them. He is comfortable taking those shots. That floater looks like it can be some damage, and when it starts to go down, he's obviously a player that can lick down trees. 1, 2, 3 with ease, bars, and your head top. You know what I'm saying? IQ can do that, dog. IQ can do that. So having a player that can find his own shot, finding a player that can hit the shots off of a curl. We don't see that too often with this team, right? We don't see that too often with this team. Guys coming off of a curl and just finding a shot. Like, IQ can do that. IQ can do that. He's the type of guy that can create space, step back, and hit a shot. So he can do a lot of different things on the offensive end, and not to mention he can finish at the rim if he needs to, right? And then when you get these guys running on the fast breakdown, this is one thing that like I really just thought was a revelation, okay? This team running the fast break yesterday, all right? I know sometimes it didn't work out, right? And sometimes it did. But I'm just talking about like the actual fundamental of spacing and filling the lanes properly. Like, yo, I had a problem with this team so far in the first quarter, first third of the season, in terms of them running the fast break from time to time, yo. This looks like they're not spacing properly. But yesterday, these guys are spacing the floor and they're running the floor with effort, just putting pressure on the transition defense. It looked beautiful. And then once these guys start working together and figuring out each other's tendencies, what they like to do, who can go up and get the lob, who just needs a bounce pass, who's gonna flare out more times to the 3-point line and find an open three. You know what I'm saying? And Immanuel Quickly's that type of guy that if he flares out now because you got 3-on-2 and these guys are going to the rim, right? The other three players, and Immanuel Quickly's out there for an open three. I am not mad at them trying to get him that three shot because he's either going to bury it or you have three guys under there for the rebounds. So, like, just fantastic stuff that I'm seeing from that, like, I saw yesterday in terms of running the fast break. And Immanuel Quickly fits right into that. Because, again, anytime that he gets the ball on a rebound, I am okay with him taking that ball and going. You know what I'm saying? I am okay with it. Now, he doesn't look to be like the most best defender, but he's capable. And it's a one-game sample size. So, like, I want to see a little bit more from him just in terms of understanding the defensive schematics. But that'll come over the course of the next few weeks. All right? So, there's no need to go in on him or on anybody on this team because all these guys, even the guys that were here already, they're figuring out how to play with each other now. And that's why I am so optimistic and intrigued about what this could be over the next month of basketball. Right? Now, I was supposed to talk about this Cavs game, but like I am so hyped for what I'm seeing from these guys that like that just might get missed today. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how sometimes I just go break down the quarters for quarters, the stats and all type of stuff. There's probably one part that I want to talk about, but while we're on the subject, yo, like in January, they had a graphic. It said 15 games in January, 9 on the road, 6 at home, 1 back-to-back. And we know that we're about to go out on this 6-game road trip right now. Okay? 6-game road trip. Now, 8 of those teams are above 500. So I am intrigued to see how the Raptors perform against better competition. You know what I'm saying? Against good competition. In fact, against all competition. Because we know there's going to be some hiccups along the way trying to incorporate the new guys, right? And then you're still deficient in that backcourt. So, sorry, in that front court. We're definitely not deficient in the backcourt. Backcourt is safe. Backcourt is solid, okay? Front court, generally, but that backup center position, something that we're going to have to look at. But nevertheless, right? If we go, let's say, so you got 15 games in January, right? We're now 1-0 so far in January. We are undefeated in January and in 2024, yo. Let's take that to the bank. So yeah, we're undefeated so far, right? So we are 1-0. We got 15 games coming up in January. Let's say you go 10-5 in January, right? And you show out well against these 8 teams that are above 500, right? You show out well. You're like right back around 500 now. Right back around 500, where you're able to see what it is exactly that you need at the trade deadline in order to figure out how to just like bolster that part and get back into real conversation. I don't know about the 6th seed, right? We might need to go on some serious run to do that, right? But like, let's say you get back into 8, right? You get back into 8 or 7. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the positions that you want to be in, because you get in that 7-8 position, and now it's just one win out of a potential 2 games, and you're in the playoffs. You understand what I'm saying? You get down to the 9-10 seed in that play-in, and now you got to win 2 games. You got to win 2 in a row in order to get into the playoffs. So you'd rather be in a position where you're in the 7-8 range, right? Now, I think this team, believe it or not, I think this team could make a serious run in order to get back in that contention. Because if you look at the standings right now, okay? If you look at the standings, which I'm about to look up right now in the Eastern Conference, the Raptors are 12th, okay? They're 12th. They are 1.5 games out of 10. They're 2 games out of 9. And we are 5 games out of 8, right? And tied for 7-8 is New York and Cleveland. So we just went and beat Cleveland. Which, by the way, I didn't even know this, but like we've now beat Cleveland 10 of 11 times. And the one time we lost, I remember that buzzer beater because I was in a restaurant. I went out on a date with my girl. And like, yeah, I'm like, okay, babe. So we left the crib. I'm like, yo, I need to catch the 4th quarter. Right? We're at the restaurant, I catch the 4th quarter. And then you got all my attention after that, baby. But like for that 4th quarter, I was cheesed, yo. I was cheesed. And then we ended up losing that game against the Cavs. So like I just remember that random fact. But I didn't know that like we've now won 10 of 11 against them. So for whatever reason, we got their number. Okay? This is what they said on the broadcast. At the time they said we've won 9 of 10. I wasn't sure whether that was 9 of 10 at home or just overall. Maybe someone could let me know in the comments in terms of what that is. But we are 10 of 11 in something, whether it's just overall wins against them or just playing them at home. Right? So that's one team that we're chasing. And they're also going through their injury situation right now as well. With Darius Garland out, right? Broken jaw on my fantasy team, but so it go. And then Evan Mobley apparently just had knee surgery. So those are 2 of their better players that are out of the lineup, right? Don't know when they're expected to come back. But do the Cavs scare you, guy? Do the Cavs scare you? In fact, none of these teams really scare me. I mean, the Knicks could be solid. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks might be some trouble. And by the way, Indiana is we're 5.5 back from Indiana as well, which is they're in the 6th spot. So we beat Indiana. We beat Indiana already. So why shouldn't we be optimistic about this team? Right? We've been relatively healthy so far, which has been a blessing, right? We don't want to have no injury trouble. I just knocked on some wood. But I think this team could make a little bit of a run here, and I'd love to see what that looks like in January, right? It'll be important to see how we do on this road trip. Okay? So, yeah. This road trip that's coming up, man, let's go ahead and throw that up there. I had it here somewhere, though. Ah, there it is. Okay. Let's talk about the teams that we're currently playing right now on this road trip. just really quickly, okay? Now, this is the Raptors schedule. Let me make sure I got this looking proper. Okay, here we go. So this is the Raptors schedule, okay? Next 6 games on the road. So tomorrow we have Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies, okay? Now, the Grizzlies, we cannot sleep on the Grizzlies, yo. Now that they got Ja Morant back, they just look like a different team. Now they're still way down there in the West. You know what I mean? They got a lot of ground to make up, man. They got a lot of ground to make up. But this is a team that was second in the West last year when they had Ja Morant, right? So now that he's back there, and I think there's a homecoming for Darko as well, actually. So I'd love for the Raptors to just go and steal this one. Not even steal this one, just go and win this one. But let's not act like Memphis is really like indicative of their record, yo, now that they have Ja back, right? Like literally for Memphis, they lost Ja for 25 games, yo. Their best player for 25 games. Now, I know that there was a lot of people out here, my boy included, I see you, bro, that thought that they'd be able to sustain that a little bit. And I'm not mad that, people had that expectation or that thought that the Grizzlies might be able to just sustain and just be somewhere like decent where they can make a run when Ja got back. But that didn't actually like necessarily work out for them in their favor, right? But we know this is a different team, right? So let's see if we can beat them in tomorrow, right? Got the Grizzlies. Then we have the Sacramento Kings. So this is a team that we've also been linked to in a lot of trade rumors, whether it's Sabonis or Keegan Murray or whoever on their team. We know that we're not going to get De'Aaron Fox at this point because we just went out and got IQ. IQ is our guard for the future, our point guard for the future. So we're not going to go and make a trade with the Kings for IQ. Or sorry, for Fox. It's literally going to be like, yo, either you're going to give us like, I don't even want to get into it. But at the end of the day, the Kings right now, they are 5th in the West, right? Right around where they were last year. This is a good team. This is a very good team. Very good team that we got to go up against. But they're also vulnerable. They are also vulnerable. And if the Raptors are able to just figure out how to like just galvanize for the rest of the season, like it could be a winnable game, right? But right now I'm looking at Memphis as a dub. Sacramento, obviously I like to win all these games. I'm looking at Memphis as a dub. Sacramento, I'm not so sure. Golden State Warriors, this ain't the same Golden State Warriors from the last decade, all right? Like Klay Thompson has nights when he's ready to have some nights, but he don't look like the same guy. You know what I mean? Steph Curry is still him. We know that. Ain't no tripping there. Andrew Wiggins has kind of been in and out, but like he's still a player. Listen, they have guys over there. But the thing is for like Golden State, I think the thing that you need to be worried about for them is if you're a Western Conference team playing Golden State, meaning that you don't want to see them in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Especially when like Draymond's back and everything like that. A lot of things are surrounding this team. But like this is a team that you don't want to play them in the playoffs. But on like a random Sunday in January going into their building, right? Like I'm okay with the Raptors trying to go get that dub, and I'm going to label that another dub, right? Then you have the Lakers. I think we got a lot to deal with Anthony Davis, man. We got a lot to deal with Anthony Davis. But we've also seen the Raptors have some really good games in LA, right? Like recently, right? We also seen like the lowest of the lowest when like Kobe, God rest his soul, rest in peace. You know what I mean? We know what he did to us and Jalen Rose and all these guys trying to guard him. Yo, we can't have one of those. Can't have one of those. We're actually winning that game, and then Manchester came back and scored 81 on us. Like, can't have one of those, okay? But we've shown that we can go into Staples Center and get a dub, right? So I think that's a game that you're probably going to need to win, right? Then at that point, like the way I have it, we're 3-1 on this road trip. Then you have the Clippers, okay? Clippers right now, they are 4th in the West, and they've been on a tear. They've been on a tear, y'all. They have been on a tear. This is going to be a tough one to go get, yo. And to be honest with you, that is the back-to-back also, right? We're lucky that we only have one back-to-back on this West Coast road trip, right? Because more times we go out there and you have like 2 back-to-backs out here. Like, I don't know why schedule makers do that. But in this case, only one back-to-back. And yeah, that's a tough one to go get. You play both LA teams back to back, yo. And then you finish up against the Jazz. So like we literally just blew a fourth quarter lead to the Jazz at home. Was it last week? Like, avenge that loss, yo. Avenge that loss. Go 4-2 on this road trip before you come back home and play Boston in the best jersey that we have right now, which is the black one, by the way. Right? It's kind of dope how NBA.com does like the jerseys and stuff in advance too. Like, I cannot stand the red jersey. I think the red jersey is like one of the worst jerseys we've ever had since like the Army fatigue one, yo. I just can't stand this current set of uniforms. But I do love the black joint. The black joint is nice, yo. So let's go 4-2 on this road trip. And yeah, man, like I think that would be a really good sighting showing for the Raptors if they're able to go and get these wins, come together as a team, a new team, right? With new teammates. I would love to see them figure out how to have a really successful road trip here. And I think that I would like to go 4-2. Now, obviously, I'd love to go 6-0, right? But that's tough to do, y'all. It's still the NBA. Everybody gets paid on that side and on our side. I'm not jumping out the window all crazy, okay? I know ball and I'm not doing that. All right. So, um, yeah, right. And this also gives an opportunity for the new players to get to know each other, right? Everybody to get to know each other. Now, there's been a lot of conversation about this in terms of, getting to know each other, and the road trips are the best time to do it and all that type of stuff. And I am actually a believer of that also, right? Like the timing was actually pretty damn good by Masai and these guys, right? When I initially talked about it in the last episode where I was just cheese because we lost to Detroit, I was talking about how like James Dolan might have just been like, figuring out a way to like undermine us for this game to kind of manifest the loss. But here's the flip side of that, right? I think Masai did a really good thing for one. Yo, all that negativity, leave that in 2023. We are starting 2024 fresh, right? Fresh. As an organization, we're starting fresh, right? With a really nice trade that like we're all happy about right now, right? If you're a Raptors fans, we love this trade right now. Most of us do. I haven't spoken to the whole fan base. I would love if the whole fan base just subscribe to the channel. Go and do that. But like truth be told, most people are okay with this, right? People that like follow basketball and look at it from like objectively, we got a really good return for the OG Ananobi, right? So I like that we're starting off fresh for 2024. Yeah, we're hitting the road, right? Man, and probably would love to get situated. I mean, maybe RJ has um a little bit like more support here in the city because his whole family's here and stuff to get situated. They could like make moves for him and stuff while he's gone just to make sure he's comfortable when he comes home, right? Because he already said that he's not like staying at his parents' house, which was a question. I don't know who asked him that. Like, yo, you staying with your parents? There's nothing wrong with that either. But listen, man, he's a professional. He has a job to do. He knows that, and I don't think his dad would allow that either, yo. Because Rowan knows what it's like to be a professional baller, dog. RJ is going to be close to the practice facility. And, what I'm saying, he's going to be downtown, So that's what he said, right? Um, IQ may not have all that support, but I mean, I'm just kind of talking out of my ass here. But like, from everything that I like see from the Barrett family, they seem like a really like good family. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure they would help out IQ a little bit along the way in order to get him situated. And I'm sure like Masai and Bobby and all of the Raptors front office, they have a good structure in place to help IQ assimilate and kind of get, acclimated into the city, right? Get adjusted into the city while he's on this 6-game road trip. So, yeah, it would be nice for those guys. I think personally they would probably like to be around. But, like, again, this is the opportunity for them to gel, get to know your teammates, right? There's going to be practices out here, less distractions, right? You're not going to have the distractions of being at home, right? Even just the distraction of figuring out where you're going to live and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have that. You're just here to ball. Um, So I think this could be a really good thing for the Raptors, a really good thing for the Raptors and the new additions, right? So yeah, man. Really, really optimistic about what could be with this team. I think we are going to hold on the Pascal trade stuff. I think that would be the best situation for the Raptors. Because even if you go max him out now in the offseason, right? I know people are worried about this. Oh, you're playing a player like, number one option money or like superstar money, but like he hasn't shown to be able to like be like a real number one option. But listen to me, man. First of all, Pascal Siakam is going to be better with the addition of RJ Barrett and Immanuel Quickly. Same as Scotty Barnes. These guys are going to be better. Number one. Number two, you sign Pascal to the max, right? You sign Pascal to the max. Do not flub this situation where you're trying to offer him less, like what you did to Fred VanVleet, okay? Because me and my boy, we just had a conversation about this the other day, yo. Like, we had a long conversation. And I actually want to get him on the channel too, yo. He's kind of like a front office type, GM type. And, I want to have some conversations with him about the salary cap and those types of things. And we'll get there at some point. But anyways, my thing is, even if you sign Pascal to the max, you think he's going to lose value? Because now teams have him under contract if they want to trade for him. You don't have to worry about him leaving in the offseason, you know? So it's a little bit of a risk from a Raptors perspective in terms of maybe he might just leave and go somewhere else with us. But like, I have no problem with them re-signing him back to a full max contract if they need to. I literally have zero issue with it because I want to see how he performs with this new team. For one, because I believe he can be better, right? Even better than he's been. And then number two, even if you needed to trade him sometime next year or the year after, I think teams would be more inclined to trade for him based on the fact that he's under contract. He's under contract. So I'm not too opposed to it. We'll see what happens over the month of January with respects to that. But yeah, man, I think the Raptors did fantastic with this trade. Okay, now we beat the Cavs and all that. I don't know. Do I need to get into it? I basically gave y'all a lot of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to kill the episode too long. Right? The one thing that I'll say about this particular game, though, right? Just from like a Raptors perspective, I liked that they like had a really good first quarter offensively where we scored a lot of points. Second quarter, we're able to get up big on the Cavs. We're up as much as 19, I think a couple of times in this game. I like the fact that we withstood the Cavs run because they came like slugging at us, especially from 3-point range. Karis LeVert was getting Karis LeVert was getting some matchups that he liked, man, because he was driving on Jakob Poeltl from like the 3-point line, everything. And like, do y'all really expect Jakob Poeltl to stop Karis LeVert on the drive? I don't. Isaac Okoro, another player, they were getting inside, which is why I say it would be nice to have that backup big, y'all. Be nice. But those two players were really getting off. Donovan Mitchell was doing his thing. But you want to know what? Like, the thing is with Donovan Mitchell, I feel like he's like a really inefficient type of player. Like, he only shot 38% from the floor. Like, I might as well just go ahead and share this really quickly, and then we'll get out of here, okay? Let's see here. Am I sharing? Now I am. Oh, now I am. Okay, so like, this is what we're looking at here with Donovan Mitchell, okay? So Donovan Mitchell, he only shot 38.1% from the field. Yeah, he was, 44% from 3-point range, but I find like he's like a really inefficient player, yo. Really inefficient player. He's kind of a throwback in some sense. Like, remember back in like the early 2000s and like the 90s, you had like these high volume shooters that, they're going to put up points, but as a high volume. But the thing that makes them dangerous is that once they get into the nitty gritty of the fourth quarter, you know that they're going to start to go off on you. Like, that's the type of player Donovan Mitchell is from my perspective. Okay. If Cavs fans are listening, they probably have a better idea. If Utah fans are listening, they probably have a better idea, right? Because those are the two places he played. But that's the way I feel about him. And that's the same way I also feel about Karis LeVert. Now, he had himself a really good game tonight because he was getting a lot the bucket, right? 60%. But I got him on my fantasy team. I see Karis LeVert sometimes shooting high 20% games or low 30% games, right? But like these guys weren't really getting off on us, or at least Donovan Mitchell wasn't really getting off on us the way that he could have get off on us because we allowed him to be inefficient. He also missed a really critical free throw down the stretch for them. And yeah, we're able to kind of wrap them up a little bit and come away with the dub, And then you see what Pascal was able to do tonight, right? 65% from the field, 13 of 20, and he went 5 of 8 from 3. Had himself a game, scored 36 points. Like, everything opened up for him today. It all opened up for him, Now, I've been on record saying Scotty Barnes is the best player on the team. That's because I feel like Scotty Barnes can do a lot of things well, right? From like ball handling to passing to rebounding to shooting the three. Like, I think Scotty Barnes is the best player on this team, but there's no doubt about it that Pascal Siakam is far and away the best scorer on this team. Far and away. There's no question about it, No question. And when he's on, like how we saw him today, where he was actually hitting even some mid-range J's today. Some mid-range J's. Everything wasn't just post work. Although when he went to the post, again, Curry goat, food. He's gonna do that to you. Like the man is dominant down there now. I'm willing to use that word. He is dominant back to the bucket face-up game, especially when they find the matchups. Like Niang, I don't know. Like that is not, that is food for Pascal. Food. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I thought he had a really good game. Scotty Barnes played well tonight. Like, even though like the stats weren't there the way that you might think it might be in a game where we score this many points, you would think he might have more assists and stuff like that. But maybe this is more similar to what Darko was alluding to at the beginning of the season in terms of equal opportunity, finding the ball will find the best players, but it needs to find the best players. Like I thought the Raptors did a really good job of that tonight. Like the assist numbers weren't really up there the way that we normally see the assist numbers be up there for the Raptors. But like I thought this was a great game for them. A really, really solid game for them, And if you break down just like the stats here, right? We out rebounded them. Assists. This is not our highest assist game, right? Not our highest assist game. Even Darko played about it or said after the game where he would have liked the guys found more assists and stuff, move the ball around, those types of things. But I mean, for what they were able to do, adding in 2 new players that haven't even like been in the locker room for like a cup of coffee, you add them to your starting lineup, and this is what you were able to produce on the offensive end. I think Raptors fans, there's been a shift. There has been a shift in terms of what to expect with this team. There's been a shift. I no longer expect the defense to be what carries us home. And the reason why I kind of felt that way at like the beginning of the season was because I felt like the offense needed a little bit more work to get itself on the right track, right? And then until then, like let the defense just do what it does. But like I think we're gonna see a lot more games like this. I said this in the Detroit one, man. It was a little bit more of a negative tone, but I'll say it in a more positive tone today, okay? Like this team, I don't think that this is like they're gonna hang their hat on the defensive end anymore. I don't think this is what it is for them. And I was listening to Raptors tonight. I think it was like early this morning or last night or whatever after the game. And Javon Shepard, shout out to Javon Shepard, Scarborough native, who also said, like, yeah, teams don't really play defense now in this new NBA. Like, you're really going to look for your defense like the last 4 minutes of the game. And if that's what it is, like, I'm okay with that if the Raptors have a solid offensive showing the way that they have the last game against Cleveland, right? And I love that we won this category, the second chance points, because I've just seen us get dominated in that area way too often. The points in the paint, we normally dominate down there. But the reason why we gave up so much, in my opinion, is that we don't really have the rim protection when you're able to pull the bigs out, right? This is what I've been saying all year. You pull Pirtle out there, right, where he doesn't want to guard, and you get him on an island. These guys are gonna pop, 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 go right by him, and then where's your rim protection? Now I know Scotty Barnes can protect the rim, Pascal and these guys sometimes, but like we could use a big, right? Fast break points, they also beat us tonight as well. I'm not too mad about it. I thought the Raptors ran the fast break really well when we were able to do it. And we were able to get the dub, which is the most important part. So, why should I be tripping? I ain't tripping, man. I ain't tripping, yo. So, let's go out and really start this road trip off the right way in Memphis, right? Go get Darko a win against his old squad, right? And set off the road trip the right way, yo. Set off the road trip the right way, man. So positive energy in 2024, yo. We wash off all that dirty stink from 2023 with this team, yo. That ended with like the worst loss in history. But that is exactly that. History. There's new history that'll be written, starting with what we saw last night against the Cavs and moving forward into playing the Memphis Grizzlies. So, if you made it to the end of this video, it was a long one, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. If you're not subbed, sub up. We're like 3 subscribers away from me giving away one of these Raptors Flex Toques. And I don't even know how I'm going to do it. Like, to keep it a buck with you, I've seen other people do it on other YouTube channels that I follow and stuff. So, like, and I thought it was pretty cool. So, I want to do it too. So, 3 more subscribers. I think we said this when we were at like maybe 30 subscribers or something like that, where I wanted to give one of these away. So we're getting close, man. I appreciate everybody that's new and subscribed to the channel. Hopefully you're digging the content. I don't normally be like going out like this against the Pistons. If anybody joined around them times, you know what I'm saying? But like I was cheesing that one. But that energy is now gone, baby. Gone. So yeah, man, subscribe, like, share. And until next time, which I believe I'm going to have a guest for the next episode, right? So we'll see how that goes, right? But until next time, you know the flex. It's me, Guy, and the man.